Black Ops 6's campaign is truly great in every regard. Setting itself up in 1991 and actually taking up upon the Gulf War, I would say the campaign was very solid all round. I would give it around an 8.5 out of 10. But if you're familiar with the ending scene of the campaign, that we go to Livingston with Marshall and Woods to discover that there is actually some more people in the CIA that are actually rogue agents. He also tells us that the Pantheon is still alive and well, even though we actually just ended up destroying them at the end of the game. And this pans into the CIA office where it says Daniel Livingston, and within this dark room that we actually do see a certain unknown familiar face coming onto our screen, and eventually the game just ends right there and now. And of course a lot of people are speculating, who could this be? Now there are three culprits as to who this unknown figure actually is. Number 1, Alex Mason. Number 2, Bell from Cold War. And the brand new protagonist in Black Ops 6, Case. Now I will go into detail about why I think this, but let's just start off with Bell from Cold War. In the Cold War campaign we come across paths with Adler, and we're having a little talk with him on this nice beautiful sunset across a rocky mountain. And this is where he really just ends up turning on us and pulling a gun on us, and we don't really know what happens as the screen cuts to black.
Personal.
And now I've heard a lot of people say that Bell in this cutscene isn't actually dead. Yes, Adler may have shot him, but obviously Adler, we know it of course returns in Black Ops 6, which is of course following up from Cold War. So it's all up for debate that this could be Bell that has been actually been experimented on, and hence is actually taking up the form of this new person, and turns out to be Case, of course the person that we play as throughout the Black Ops 6 campaign. And when you go to the very beginning of the Black Ops 6 campaign, you can actually see someone who's not in the room with us, and that is of course Case. But as the camera pans around, we do kind of see someone operating the camera, and this guy looks remotely identical to the guy that we see at the end of the campaign. Now of course this is not 100% true, this is just the first theory that I've came into contact with, and people are saying that Bell is in fact the person that we know as Case in the Black Ops 6 campaign. And this would explain a lot as to why Case went rogue in the helicopter. And of course the Cradle biological weapon just made Case lose it and supposedly killed Jane Harrow before we actually see anything, as it just cuts to black. And this would also explain why we don't see him in the final cutscene. And this kind of leaves the cliffhanger that of course Case is probably a member of the Pantheon. Or in fact that Case is in fact dead with Jane Harrow in the helicopter crash, and they are pretty much completely engulfed with flames. But feel free to let me know you guys' thoughts of this theory down below, and let's move on to the next one. So if you've played the Black Ops 2 campaign, you would be very familiar with Alex Mason. Now when you take a second look at this guy, you can actually kind of tell that this does look like a lot like Alex Mason, man. I actually had to re-look at this, but he really does look identical to this guy. And I can see why people are making theories as to why this could be Alex Mason. But of course, if you have played Black Ops 2, you know that Alex Mason meets a very sorry demise. In the Black Ops 2 campaign while playing as Woods, we believe that Menendez is actually been captured, and it's time to put an end to it all with one bullet through his head. Now if you do shoot this person as Woods and go and check it out later, you will find that this has actually been a trap set by Menendez, and that Alex Mason is pretty much dead. And this scene of course ends with Woods' kneecaps getting completely blown off by Menendez, and you know how it goes after that. Now as to why I don't really think this could be Alex Mason, of course this could look like so many different people in the COD franchise, and the only really theory I have here as to why this could be Alex Mason is of course that he could have been equipped by Pantheon, trained up, and of course sent in to operate against the CIA. This is also the same idea as to why a character being dead is perfect prey for these guys. It would have made sense to actually toss Alex Mason into the Cradle project, see what happens, and he eventually just comes out of it like completely brainwashed and eventually goes against the CIA for whatever reason, as because of course he now works for Pantheon now. But in my opinion I think this theory is complete bullshit, because of considering that they only bring back to life people that have actually been surviving, and we know Pantheon induces their victims into induced amnesia, so they don't reveal anything about Pantheon, and they're of course what they are hiding. But I feel that whole theory just discredits the fact that David Mason went out of his way just to fucking defend his father. And if I'm honest, this whole theory would just discredit all of Black Ops 2 entirely, considering half of that game was set around 2025 and David Mason out looking for Menendez after he killed his father. which it doesn't really make sense as to why that would just be forgotten and he would just end up being resurrected and end up working for the CIA. And of course, if David Mason never found out about this, it would just make it even sadder. So if I'm totally honest, I'm going to have to pass on this theory. I just don't think it makes sense. However, of course, I do think he does look a lot like Alex Mason, but let's move on to the final theory. Now, the final theory is a bit of a boring one, but this could actually be Case. This takes us back to the helicopter scene where Jane completely gets hurt by Case in the helicopter. And we know the virus somehow let out Case's true colours and obviously set off this demon within him. Now, a lot of people are saying that Jane is actually being killed by Case in this scene, and quite likely Case has done just that. And another point I have to add to this is that we never see Case's face or voice throughout the game. We only really hear him getting orders by the rest of the members, like from Marshall and whatnot. And it would make a lot of sense as to why he would want to just snap suddenly, kill Jane, and eventually go on to become the full-on leader of Pantheon. This is also why Livingston says that Pantheon members are still out there and we need to act quick. And hence, this would also be the first Call of Duty protagonist who turns out to be a villain at the end, which is crazy. That is like the craziest thing I've ever heard. And this wouldn't be a coincidence either, as we saw Jane Harrow go from the good side to joining Pantheon and being a member of the actual full-on group as a whole. And considering that Case was a part of the Cradle project, this allowed him to snap at Jane Harrow, instantly killing her and becoming the new leader of Pantheon. So guys, those are the main primary theories I've decided to focus on in today's video. What do you guys think of them? Do you think any of these are true? Do you think they will eventually be debunked in the future by any of our other kind of COD communities? Do you think this is in fact going to be Alex Mason? Turns out to be Alex Mason? Highly doubt it, but of course this could also be Case, and we may actually get more of a story arc in the next Black Ops following up after Black Ops 6. And feel free to let me know your guys' theories down in the comment section down below. And if you guys enjoyed this video, I'll leave the next video up on screen here. Take care and peace.